All right, so we're going to move on along in chapter 4. We're going to get started on lesson 4.3 today, which is polynomial long division and synthetic division. So let me present my screen and we'll get started. Oh, not the right thing. Sorry about that. Okay, so polynomial long division is a method used to divide polynomials by a non-zero divisor to yield a quotient polynomial and a remainder polynomial. So they use all these f of x, d of x, q of x, r of x. All right, d of x is the divisor. That's the number that, or the polynomial, excuse me, that goes out in front of the house. All right, the dividend, what you're dividing into, goes under the house. Your quotient goes on top of the house, and your remainder, usually like when you were in elementary school and you first learned how to do division, well, at least it's the way I learned how to do division, you would do remainder and then put the remainder next to it. But the way we're going to write the remainder is you're going to write the quotient, the number that's on top of the house, and then the remainder goes next to the quotient with the divisor as the denominator. And I'll explain this more as we go through the first problem, okay? There is another method that can be used for division, but it only works for certain problems. So this method is called synthetic division, and synthetic division only works if we're dividing by a binomial in the form x minus k. K will be a number, not a variable. All right, so if we're dividing by x plus 1, we can use synthetic division. Okay, so this is kind of a faster, more direct way of doing the division, but it only works for some problems. All right, let's keep on moving along. The remainder theorem: if a polynomial f of x is divided by x minus k, then the remainder r is equal to f of k. And I will explain this more in a problem that we're going to look at in just a moment. All right, this is a 2-day lesson, so I'm only going to do half of the problems today, and then I'll do the other half tomorrow so that you guys get lots of examples to work off of. All right, so first, using long division, I'm going to do problems A and B today. So for long division, you're going to set it up with the divisor, x minus 3, and you're dividing into the dividend, which is x squared plus 6x plus 12. So the way long division works is you start with the first term of the divisor and you ask yourself, what do you have to multiply x by to get x squared? Or if you want to think of it in the reverse, right, you could say x squared divided by x is what? But I like to think of it as, what am I multiplying by? What do I have to multiply x by to get x squared? You have to multiply by an x. So you're going to put that here. And you want to line up whatever the first term of your quotient is with the similar term of the divisor, okay? Or the dividend, excuse me. So then after you write the x there, you distribute the x to both the x and the negative 3. So x times x is x squared. You write that here. X times negative 3 is negative 3x. Just like you would in normal long division, you then subtract. You should always be able to cancel out your first terms, which is the goal, okay? And then you have 6x minus negative 3. Be careful with signs here. That's really 6x plus a positive 3x. That's a 9x. And then you drop down the rest of the problem, so plus 12. And then you start all over. All right, so let me erase some of this so it doesn't confuse you later on. So then what you do is you look at what's left, which is the 9x plus 12, and you're asking yourself, what do I have to multiply x by to get 9x? What do I have to multiply x by to get 9x? You have to multiply by a 9. So you put that 9 up here, and now you distribute the 9 to both terms of the divisor. So 9 times x is 9x. 9 times negative 3 is a negative 27. And then you subtract. Again, your first term should always cancel. And a positive 12 minus a negative 27, that's really plus a positive 27, is going to give you a 39. You know you're done because you can't multiply x by anything to get a 39. Okay, so your remainder is 39. Now, the way you write your answer, you write the quotient, which is x plus 9, and then you write plus the remainder, which is 39, over the divisor, which is x minus 3. All right, so again, the answer is written as quotient plus remainder over divisor. Okay. All right, so let's try problem B. So for this one, you will notice there are some missing terms. So what I'm actually going to first do is rewrite this with all those missing terms with zeros as placeholders. So it's x cubed minus 4x squared, and then it's missing an x term and it's missing a constant. And that's divided by x squared. Notice it's missing an x term, and then you have your constant. This is going to help us with placement of terms going in the right spot. So you're dividing by x squared plus x minus 16. That goes in the front of the house. And your dividend is x cubed minus 4x squared plus 0x plus 0. So you start with the same series of questions. What do you have to multiply x squared by to get x cubed? You start with the first term. Okay, it's always the first terms you're looking at. So you have to multiply by an x. So again, make sure you put that over top of the term that it matches, that it's like, okay? And then distribute that x to all three terms of the divisor. So x times x squared is x cubed. X times 0x is a 0x squared. X times a negative 16 is a negative 16x. And then I'm going to subtract. Your first term should cancel. Negative 4 minus nothing is just a negative 4x squared. 0 minus negative 16, be careful with your signs here, that's a positive 16. And then I'm going to drop my plus 0. All right, now you have to go through the same series of questions looking at the first term of the divisor and the first term of what's left. Let me just erase all this. There we go. So you're asking yourself, what do I have to multiply x squared by to get negative 4x squared? We just have to multiply by a negative 4. And then distribute that to all three terms. So a negative 4 times a positive x squared is a negative 4x squared. A negative 4 times a 0x is a 0x, or you do negative 0x, doesn't make a difference because 0 is neither positive nor negative. Then we have a negative 4 times a negative 16, which is going to give you a positive 64. And then I'm going to subtract. A negative minus a negative, that's really a negative plus a positive, those cancel. 16 minus nothing is still 16x. And then 0 minus 64 is a negative 64. I know I'm done because if I was to try to ask myself the same question again, what do I have to multiply x squared by to get 16x? You can't. As soon as what you're left with is 1 degree less than what your leading coefficient, or your leading term's degree is, you know you're done, okay? So the answer, here's your quotient, is x minus 4 plus the remainder, which is left over, so 16x minus 64, over the divisor. Now your divisor, you can write it as x squared plus 0x minus 16. I'd be fine with that. But remember, we put that 0x in there. So I'm just going to write it as x squared minus 16. And that is your answer. Okay. So those are your two long division problems for today. Let's move on to synthetic division. Okay. So we use synthetic division when we're dividing by, so we can only use this when dividing by a binomial in the form x minus k. Okay, so both of these are in the form x minus k, x minus k. And the first thing you want to tell me is what is the k value? Okay, the k value for this problem is 2. The k value goes out front, and then you kind of have like an upside down house, an upside down bracket. What goes inside next are the coefficients of your dividend, what you're dividing into. So the coefficients are 1, -10, and 2. Now here's the process, okay? It's not hard, but pay attention so you know the steps. You drop the first value, then you're going to multiply, that's a times symbol, sorry. Then you're gonna multiply the 1 and the 2 together, and your product goes here. Then you're going to combine, you're gonna add the column together and write the answer here. So you're gonna have -8. Then you're gonna multiply again. That's gonna give you -16, that goes in that last spot. And then you add, okay? And that's gonna be a -14. All right, now this is your remainder. The -14 is, that's your remainder. And these are the coefficients of your quotient. So these numbers right here, those are the coefficients of quotient. And your quotient is always going to be 1 degree less than your dividend. So the dividend had a degree of 2. So your answer has a degree 1 less. So it's just going to be a 1x, right? 1x to the first. So it's going to be 1x to the first minus 8. I get the 1 and the 8 from here. And then it's plus the remainder, which is -14, over the divisor. You divide it by x minus 2. Right? If that was like a little confusing for you, you can of course pause, rewatch, but I'm going to do another one. So hopefully it'll make more sense once you see it one more time. Okay. So first off, this one's a little bit different just because I'm missing some terms here. I go from x cubed all the way down to the constant. I need to fill in my placeholders. So it's 2x cubed plus 0x squared plus 0x minus 54. And we're dividing by x plus 3. So because we're in the form of x minus k, I can use synthetic division. What's the k value? Think about what number was plugged in here. It's a -3, so that number goes out front. Then you have your upside down house or upside down bracket. Coefficients of the dividend go next. So 2, 0, 0, -54. That's why putting those placeholders in is super important. Drop the first number, multiply, combined, add. It's -6. Multiply again. -6 times -3 is +18. Add. It's going to be a +18. Multiply 18 times -3. Oh my God, 18 times -3 is -54. And then you're going to add. That's going to be a -108. This is your remainder. These are the coefficients for your answer. Your answer is going to be 1 degree less than your dividend. So since your problem was 2x cubed, I know my answer is going to start with an x squared. So the coefficient is going to be a 2 and then x squared. Then the next coefficient is a -6, and it goes down in degrees, so just an x, and then plus 18. And then it's plus your remainder of -108 over the divisor, which is x plus 3. And that's your answer. Okay. I know this is new. It's probably going to be a little uncomfortable for some of you, but practice it, and I promise you it's really not that hard. All right, let's keep on going. All right, so match the equivalent expression. So this is the remainder theorem that I said I would explain more once we got down to a problem. So let me put here remainder theorem. So what the remainder theorem says, and I'll go back up to it if you want me to, it says you can plug the k value into the dividend to find the correct remainder. All right. So our K value for the first problem, okay, the K value is a 4. Remember X minus K, so the K value is a 4. So what you're going to do is plug the K value into the dividend. So 4 squared minus 4 minus 8. So that's going to give you 16 minus 4 minus 8. That's 12 minus 8, right? And you get 4. So which of these problems, these are the answers. Which of the answers has a remainder of 4? Okay, so hold on one second, let me scroll down. The first one, the remainder is the top number, that's a 4, remainder 12, remainder 28, remainder 20. So I know for the first problem number or letter I, the answer is A. Okay, if I was to do synthetic division like I did for the last problem, this would be the answer. And I simply know that because the remainder theorem says substitute the K value into the quotient and the dividend, calling it the wrong thing. Plug the K value into the dividend and whatever you get as your value, that has to match the remainder. Okay, so let's try another one. So for the next problem, the K value, X minus K. The K value is 4, so I'm again going to substitute 4 in. So I have 16 minus 4 plus 8. That's 12 plus 8. That's going to give you 20. So which of the answers matches problem J? D, because it has a remainder of 20. All right. Let's try the next one. This also has a K value of 4, so it's 4 squared plus 4 minus 8. 16 plus 4 minus 8. 20 minus 8 gives you 12. So which of the answers has a remainder of 12? That is B. Okay. And the last one, process of elimination, we already know which the answer is, but we'll go through it real fast anyway. Right, so the K value is 4, so it's 4 squared plus 4 plus 8. That's 16 plus 4 plus 8. It's 20 plus 8, 28. So which one has a remainder of 28? That would be C. All right. And the last set of problems that we'll look at today. There we go. So here it says use synthetic division to evaluate the function for the for the indicated value of X. All right. So we're going to do synthetic division using the indicated value. So that means you're going to put 2 there. And your coefficients are -3, 4, -17, -6. You're going to drop the -3, multiply to get -6, add to get a -2, multiply to get a -4, add to get a -21, multiply to get a -42, add to get a -48. Okay, the answer, and I'm going to explain this in just a bit, in 1 minute. The answer is that f of 2, meaning when I plug 2 in for the function, my outcome is -48. So what I'm looking for when I do the synthetic division, I'm looking for the remainder. That's the answer to the problem. But if you're confused, like how did synthetic division give us this answer? Watch this. If I didn't tell you to use synthetic division, and I just said evaluate the function, I'm sure many of you would be like, oh, I just have to plug 2 in. So let's see what happens when you just plug 2 in. You have -3 times 2 cubed plus 4 times 2 squared minus 17 times 2 minus 6. So I have -3, 2 cubed is 8, plus 4, 2 squared is 4, minus 17 times 2 minus 6. Now I'll go through and do multiplication. Negative 24, positive 16, negative 30. Okay, I just my head. 34. There we go. And then minus 6. All right. Negative 24 and 16. That's going to be a negative 8 minus 34 minus 6. That's going to be a negative 42 minus 6. That's going to be a negative 48. Okay, so when I plug the value in, I get an evaluation of negative 48. Well, they're just saying instead of plugging the value in, use synthetic division. And when you use synthetic division, the remainder is what it would evaluate to. All right, you don't have to do both methods. I just wanted to show you. All right, so the last problem, they're telling you to evaluate the function when x is negative 5, but use synthetic division. So set it up, negative 5 goes outside. The coefficients, 1, negative 10, negative 31, negative 30, and there are no terms skipped, so I don't have to put any placeholders in. Drop the 1, multiply to get a negative 5, add to get a negative 15. Multiply to get a negative, or excuse me, positive 75. Add to get, did I make a mistake? No. Oh, I did on my worksheet, sorry. This is supposed to be a positive 31, but we'll just do it at a negative 31 so that it makes sense. So negative 31 plus 75 is going to give you a 44. Then multiply that by negative 5 to get a negative 220. And then we'll combine that with a negative 30 to get a negative 250. Okay. So f of negative 5, meaning when I evaluate this function with negative 5 plugged in for the x, I get a negative 250. And that is it. All right, so we'll finish up this lesson next time, but just go ahead and finish up your notes, and I'll see you back here for the next lesson. Bye.